Of pounds are spent every year on welfare payments in this country, which is why governments of all stripes have been keen to make the system work in as cost-effective a manner as possible. And it's why, 10 years ago now, the idea of creating one benefit for all was first suggested, a universal credit. Well, it's now 6.5 years behind schedule in terms of being run out. And over the weekend, another delay was announced in moving the remaining 3 million claimants off the old system and on to the new. We're joined now by Deven Ghelani, who's a Director of Policy and Practice and actually helped to design Universal Credit System himself, and Meg Hillier, who is the Chair of the Public Accounts Committee. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Deven Ghelani, let's start with you. Why do you think Universal Credit is proving so difficult to implement?
I think the biggest driver is the context in which it's being implemented. So you've got a whole range of changes to the benefit system that have been introduced through 2010 that fundamentally made it less generous for the people that it's there to support. In this context, universal credit's being introduced while the people are being expected to change to transition onto this new system when fundamentally they've got less money themselves to live on. Alongside that, you've got some of the issues with transition itself. So universal credit for some will be less generous. There are a package of measures announced in the last budget and the budget before that put more money into universal credit, fundamentally into work incentives and into a run-on of benefits. So when you transition onto universal...
And yet overall the budget is being reduced for the welfare system.
Overall the budget is being reduced.
As our Home Affairs editor, Mark Easton, was saying half an hour or so ago, that makes it doubly difficult. You're changing a system, it's a massive change, and you're reducing the money for that system.
Absolutely. And I think the frustration for me, having been involved at the outset, is that you've seen some of these changes that have been announced more recently that frankly should have been absolutely in place at the outset to help people manage that transition onto universal credit and fundamentally make the experience of claiming a new benefit much more rewarding than it certainly has been for too many people.
Meg Hillier, you've been saying for a long time that there are problems with the universal credit system. Do you welcome this latest delay?
Absolutely, and I think we've been very clear as a committee that it's better to get it right than to meet deadlines that are sometimes set very falsely. And I agree with Deven that some of these problems were bad. It was badly designed at the beginning in that a lot of these things were not anticipated. And the main thing was that people's lives are complicated. So it sounds very easy to say, let's put six benefits into one. But a lot of people claiming, for example, are in work. They've got fluctuating hours. This can have a big impact on what their income should be. And all of these changes, the 5-week gap with being paid, these are things that really are very difficult for people who've got very little resilience financially and often in other ways. And that's the bit that was really missing. That understanding of real people's lives wasn't really built in at the beginning. Of course, the project was reset. So you've got lots of things like big IT projects and stuff behind it as well. But that fundamental bit, if you're trying to actually help people, you need to get that bit right and understand people from the outset.
Should the whole move be stopped?
Well, we concluded that it's very difficult now, having rolled it out so far, to unwind it. It would also be very costly.
In which case, what then do you think the government should do other than delay and delay? I mean, the Prime Minister still insists they're on target. They're going to hit the full transition by 2023?
Well, I would say be careful about promising 2023, frankly, from what I know about the programme. I think Amber Rudd is a minister who has a reputation for listening. If this pause means that's what she's doing and she is trying to tackle some of these things, then, that's a good thing. But she has inherited a system that has got many complications. And as Deven and you have said, that the taking the money out of the system while trying to implement it was a disaster because many people are worse off. There's things like looking at the digital application. A quarter of applications don't even go through to a full application. A lot of people finding that very difficult. So there are many practical things about how money is reaching or not reaching people, as well as the transition from one benefit to another that really, really need to be tackled. And that's a big job. And I think that'll be very hard to deliver all of this by 2023. But a pilot is in every sense absolutely the right way. If you're going to change it, you need to practice, see what those changes are before you go ahead. But look, on the basis of the quarter of people not getting a claim through, of the 10,000 people in the pilot, that's 2,500 people who may not get their claim through. Now, hopefully the pilot will pick that up and help them claim and get the money quickly.
Deven Ghelani, do you see an easy way out of this mess, briefly?
Well, there are still 2 million people who are going to be moving on to universal credit this year, and that's an important point to make in the context of that slowdown. So the DWP will have their hands full. As Meg said, it's essential that for those 10,000 people that are moving on that have been on benefits long term, that the DWP look at each journey case by case and make incremental improvements to the system to to make it feel like fundamentally a better benefit system, reimagine the process of claiming benefits. And I think so far that's the opportunity that's been missed with universal credit to date.
All right. Well, Meg Hillier and Deven Ghelani, thank you both very much.
It's 26 minutes past 7, and here's Rob with the sport.
Martha, thanks. Hello again. Well,